T-ball, that's it. We literally played one of those in like intermittent hail, and I was just up from California. I go, aren't we going to stop? And the coach goes, well, you're not from here. If we stop for everything that happened, we'd never play a game.
That's the bottom line. I mean, man, we poured foundations in the rain. There's nothing that stopped. You just can't do it.
I don't want to have to pay for them to redo the paint, so I'll wait until it dries out again, but we're getting there.
How about playing golf in the snow?
See that? You need a what is it?
Orange ball.
And that's exactly. And we also had to have a little hammer with us so we get the tee in the ground. I'm serious.
I don't think I want to play that bad, but
Well, that was in the beginning.
that's for you in the beginning.
Hi, everybody.
That's when
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much fun.
So much fun. Amazing, just amazing what we can do in the rain here. Nothing stops us. And you just, what do you wear? You wear flip-flops with socks or
Flip-flops with socks. Oh, God, Maria. Yeah.
Hey, I've seen it, Vicki. I've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Cliff,
Yes. Hello.
I sent you a chat. Remember, we have chat down below. So before the
Yeah.
meeting, or if you got a question,
I'm on my iPad.
good
So
place to go.
there it is.
Amen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
no
we
problem.
go.
Sure.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Of course, Dave. You could have just called me out and said, hey, Cliff, call me afterwards. That's funny.
I could have, sure.
Yeah.
But I want people to get used to using the chat because a lot of times things get sent and they don't even know that there's something's going to them. So
Yeah, on the iPad, I got to watch.
hello,
I have to
you
click it.
can see it. Chat
Tom.
coming in.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Tom.
Danny.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, Danny.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, how you all doing today?
Great.
Looking like a true Southerner. How y'all doing?
Y'all.
I learned that from you, Dave.
I don't say that, I don't think.
You say all y'all. That's what.
Yeah.
That's a real Southerner. All y'all.
Hey, you sound like Paula Dean. Oh,
My
y'all,
old boss
y'all.
was from- my old boss was from New Orleans, and that's what he said all the time. Oh, you mean all y'all? You know.
Oh, yeah. We were on a cruise with some people from North Carolina, and they said, well, where are you from? And I said, well, I'm from Southern Idaho originally. Well, your name, Vicki Lee. Oh, Vicki Lee, you are just from North Carolina, just like us. And oh my God, it was very fun. But after a while, it got old. And Howard said, can you quit talking like that, please? I said, okay. It's just, but it was fun. Nice people.
Danny, you have a very impressive looking sandwich there.
Wow.
Bigger than her.
I built my Subway melt at Subway on their online app because they don't offer it anymore, and it's delicious.
I have 2 pieces of bread, a couple of pieces of ham, and some mayo. That's my sandwich.
That doesn't.
Oh, I made turkey salad.
Doesn't do the trick, Dave.
No, it doesn't.
National Hot Dog Day. How are you having a sandwich?
Hot dogs are on my agenda later.
Oh, okay. That's what I'll make for dinner. Good, thank you.
Hot dog here.
I'm
Kind of a
getting sushi
complicated
later. It's
recipe.
better than hot dogs.
Oh, better put that on my list. Okay.
Well,
So-
it's just about noon and we've got 14 participants.
Oh my goodness.
Ron just came on. Bill's on.
Hey, Ron,
Hello, here I am.
we'll wait a couple more minutes before we get started.
Well,
We don't have our speaker on either at this time. And I've not had a chance to chat with her, so, but she said she'll be ready at noon.
Yeah, I think early on she tried to connect and was on for just a flash and then has been off since.
Yes, I saw that too.
Well, there's Frank.
Oh, but he's not our speaker.
He may be if she doesn't show up.
Be a
I've done it
very
with shorter notice.
abbreviated meeting.
No, that's okay. We all have enough to say today. At least I do.
And video.
Or if nothing else, I can take you out and show you my flowers. The angel's trumpet opened up and she's spectacular.
There we go.
Oh,
Oh, there's
There's our speaker.
Sorry, I joined
You're-
earlier, but I wasn't sure if it was the same meeting or if I was too early for a different meeting. I didn't want to barge in a meeting. So I was like,
So how do you pronounce your name?
it's Ayrosh.
Igosh?
Ayrosh.
Igosh.
I don't,
I would have never guessed.
Bill.
Now, I will. That's nice.
Means
Oh,
moonlight.
well, let's go ahead and,
Hi, Jim. Hey, Amanda.
Hi, Jim.
hi, Rob. How are you?
Amanda and Imogen.
Yeah.
Hey.
ready to go here, David.
Well, we've got 18 people, Bill. I'm ready to go. It's just we're on the light side, but
We're
I
gonna
think it's best to do these meetings when it's time to do the meeting. So we'll proceed. You want to? I'm going to call the meeting to order.
What is
Okay,
going
ring the
on?
bell.
I don't know.
We step
Oh,
up.
it's over here.
Could you hear the bell or not?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Look
Sounded
at
like
your
a
screen,
horn.
Bill. Look at the screen you've put up.
You screwed it up. Again.
Didn't it work?
No.
It
No.
never
Bill-
works. This
the
is gonna
bell
be, a-
did
this is
work.
gonna be a
Train whistle.
circus from now on. I'm never gonna be able to do things right.
Why start now?
Okay, go ahead. We're ready.
So let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, if we might, please.
Sure.
Flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
Wanting me to sign up with them, kind
I
then it look at me, scratching my head. Why do I need another middleman? It's sort of like, just, yeah.
Somebody obviously is on their phone.
I thought
I
did
will
have to
mute
take
all.
that
Mute
application.
I
all.
would
I'm muting
appreciate it.
all. Unmute yourself, David, please.
Bill, if you wouldn't mind giving the invocation, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. I can hear you. Go ahead, Dave.
I said if you wouldn't mind doing the invocation,
Oh,
I'd
thank you.
appreciate it.
I thought you said an indication when to talk.
Invocation.
Oh, you can see I've had one of these
Okay, Bill,
mornings.
let's get going, okay?
Okay, yeah, let's get going. Let's go ahead. For those, go ahead and bow your head to your own custom, please. We come together again as Rotarians and guests, and also with probably a fantastic speaker to listen to, but we come together again as the unity of a family that is caring for others across the globe, across the world, across the United States, and also within our community. We keep this in mind as we work together, and just pray that we all stay safe during this pandemic. We say that in your name. Amen.
Amen. So do we happen to have any guests other than our speaker today? Yes, we got Jim Moore. Jim Moore, why don't you give a quick story on yourself?
Sure. I'm a member of the Seattle Four, and have been involved in district global grants as well as International Service Committee work, and am an American dad for Aroch.
And a what?
An American dad for
Okay. Okay. And Mary Kay, Victoria, do you have a moment to talk about this upcoming week and also where we are in terms of our food drive?
Today we've got about 35 people signed up, since I start with about 25 that are every week people. So we're a little behind where we normally are on Wednesdays. So if you want to, kind of goad your friends or yourselves or whatever, then that would be helpful. We've got enough drivers. I just need to, we just need to get out there and hopefully we'll get more before Thursday afternoon when I cut it off. But, we're at an average of about 3,800 pounds a time, which is really super. And hopefully 4,000 is kind of my goal. If we came in under it, I feel really disappointed. So we keep working for that 4,000. Thanks, guys. And thank you all the people who are drivers. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
What's the in total number of all the Fridays that we've been out, Mary Kay? Do you have that?
Well, 37 times, we're at about 27,000 pounds.
Perfect.
And almost $10,000.
That's amazing. Good, great job. Great job. Well, I'd like to introduce and have our speaker give her presentation today. I'm excited about it. I'll just give you a little background. I like to do a little research on our speakers just to kind of get a flavor for what they're all about, how they handle themselves, their story, their life. And this young lady at 29 has had quite a life. She was born and raised in Afghanistan. She lived through a civil war. But even as tough as that, she had one other challenge that seemed to be the most, challenging: getting her driver's license. She, big smile there, very few women in Afghanistan drive. And when I saw her sister and herself, and her sister, by the way, just graduated from dental school in a country that I've been to in Turkey. And anyway, it was quite interesting watching her drive and all the bicyclists, people pulling in front of her because they don't see many women that have a car and drive. So without further ado, I'm not going to tell much about this, but this driving story, you got to watch it. It was awesome. Without further ado, I hope I don't mess up your name too much. Erush?
Ayrosh, yes, that's
Thank you.
fine. Thank you so much. I can't believe you watched my documentary. I was the whole time I was thinking, it would be something interesting to share, but we have very limited time. So perhaps we can share the link with the members if they're interested to watch it. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you guys very much for this opportunity to meet you all virtually and to be able to discuss about my interests and what getting the scholarship from Rotary meant to me. Rotary has a very, very special place in my heart. The first time I came to know about Rotary was when I was 16, when I first came to the United States as an exchange student on a program through the State Department called YES program. And I was placed in San Diego, and I was living with a host family who knew somebody who was a member of the Rotary Club there. And he had a used computer from a professor that he gave to me when I was a 10th grader. And I took that computer back to Afghanistan. I used it to teach English to to children and youth, and I used it to improve my own English skills. I used it to apply for scholarships, to apply for college, through which I came to the United States in 2011, went to college, and that computer changed my life, and I passed it on to my sister who also used it. So, and then after finishing that, going to Seattle, meeting Jim through home, I met a lot of members of the Seattle 4 and other clubs, and becoming a Rotary member. I can say probably Rotary had a role in saving my life and helping me achieve my goals and going after my aspirations. So thank you guys. And with that, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see my presentation. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Everybody can see it, yeah? Great.
Yep.
All right, so I know I have a very limited time, and when I went to the Fletcher School, School of Law and Diplomacy, I focused on conflict resolution and gender analysis and peace building. And I did a few papers for one of the classes that I was taking called International Negotiation, and I wrote about the peace process in Afghanistan and the role of women. So I thought I'd give you guys a general background, and I tried to go as quick as possible because it could take hours for me to talk about this, but I'll try to make it short. So the Afghan women throughout this whole peace process haven't really had a significant role to play. They have been members of the Peace Council, but they haven't. Their role has been mostly symbolic. I'm sure a lot of you guys have traveled in that region of the world, so I just thought I'd put up a map. Afghanistan is located in Central Asia. On the north, borders with former Soviet Union countries, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, to the west with Iran, the south and east with Pakistan, and then we have a little bit of border over there on the northeast with China. Since the Afghan independence in 1919 under King Amanullah Khan, he brought a lot of significant changes in the lives of Afghan women, and he started that change within his own family and his wife, Queen Soraya, whom he had unveiled and accompanied him on his foreign trips to Europe and other surrounding countries, having universal education for girls and boys, abolishing child marriage, prohibiting polygamy, which was practiced. I mean, it's still practiced in parts of it, but he made it a part of the law to justify a second or third marriage, but making it difficult and limiting that to the people and creating compulsory literacy programs. It was that time when a lot of the schools for women started building under King Amanullah Khan. The women's emancipation under the king and continued through these reforms, continued through the 70s and also some in the 80s until the Mujahideen came over, and of course under the Taliban regime, it was even more challenging for women as they were confined at home for 3 to 4 years and parts of Afghanistan for 5 years. And after 2001, the international intervention, things have changed and the positive because, we now have a new constitution, which makes it the law, for women to be seen equal, there's a quota for Afghan women to be part of the parliament, House of Representatives, and to be in the ministers and to have decision-making positions in the government. But still, traditionally, security-wise, there are a lot of challenges that women face in Afghanistan that can't be compared to what Afghanistan was, for instance, prior to Soviet invasion. I wanted to share a personal story. So a lot of my memories from my childhood honestly are for the Taliban regime, because I was in 3rd grade when the Taliban came. This is a picture of me and my younger little sister that was taken right before I entered my first grade, and she was going to kindergarten. And I was in 3rd grade, and myself, my mother who was a teacher, and 6 sisters of mine had to stay home for 3.5, 4 years. I have a brother who was in the medical school, and under the Taliban regime, he graduated, became a doctor, while my sister, who was in the same class with him, was at home doing embroidery, sewing clothes to help us survive during those 3 years. So my mother, being a teacher, had started a secret school where she was teaching young women and girls and some boys from our family and friends and community who would come to our house, and she would teach them. And my sister, who knew English, she would teach them English, and one of my sisters would teach them math. Up until the Taliban found about it, and they imprisoned my dad because he was allowing his wife to teach girls in the community. And they released him on the promise that he had to make to them that he would not allow his wife to continue teaching. And so he did that, and he came home, and we packed our stuff and whatever we could pack, and we moved to Mazar Sharif, where we currently live. So that's you know, that I have that memory of, you know, my mother teaching us for those 3 years, even though she couldn't teach other kids, but she taught us. And you know, she had to, there were books that were in English that she had to burn, and there were books that she could hide, she hid, and continued teaching us. But I wanted to share these two photos. You know, on the right you see a picture from the Taliban regime where a woman is being executed publicly in a soccer stadium for probably a reason. She's accused of either leaving her home without being accompanied by a male guardian, or accused of something that's not been proven. And on the left, the same exact location, you see a singer singing to thousands of people in the same exact location in 2015. So things have changed, yes, but at the same time, you know, I want to say things have changed, but at the same time, you know, even more recently, for the past 6-7 years, security-wise, life has become so difficult for women. We've had journalists who are killed. We've had activists who have killed. I've had close friends whom I have lost to this fight for our freedom, and singers who've been shot dead. But still, you see women who have no choice but to have the courage to keep moving forward, because there's no way we can go back to what it was like during the civil war and the Taliban regime. So as you know, after the intervention, the 9/11 attacks in the US, that's when the international intervention happened in Afghanistan. And a big reason behind that intervention was the freedom of women and education, and taking girls back to school. Now, progress had happened, and there's a criticism about the Bonn Agreement that happened in Germany, where prior to establishing a constitution and establishing the temporary government in Afghanistan with Karzai, that, you know, at the table in Bonn, you had Karzai, you had people from the US, you had Pakistan, members of the Pakistani government, and warlords from Afghanistan. The people who were not there present was the Taliban, whom the US was fighting. And so since then, even though the first few years of the intervention, peace was there in Afghanistan because the Taliban had fled either to Pakistan or they were hiding in the mountains, but they haven't been gone for good. And especially in the recent years, that has been worse. You know, you have parts of the country where they are under the rule of Taliban, like 100%. You know, the city of Kunduz, which is, you know, borders with Tajikistan, had a few times the Afghan forces have lost control of there. So it's kind of going back and forth. And there are villages where girls still cannot go to school because they're being controlled by the Taliban. Now, since 2014, when the Obama administration decided to leave Afghanistan but leave just a very small number of their troops there, and with it also NATO ended its mission there, Taliban have been making more and more advances. And like I said earlier, you see parts of the country where it's contested, and there are parts of the country that's totally Taliban controlled. And this keeps increasing by every year as the Taliban get more advanced, and as we have more international troops leaving the country. Now, in the peace processes, in every peace process, there are, as you know, there are stakeholders. And so in the Afghan case, you have the international, regional, and Afghan government, and the top level, the political opposition parties, their armed groups, which are the Taliban. And then in the national level, you have district and community development councils, there's the peace council, there's shuras, there are tribal leader councils, religious leaders, there's women's groups, victims groups, nonprofit organizations, universities, labor unions, and etc. And each process, there's also these groups called spoilers. And spoilers are groups that aim to disrupt peace agreements because either their interests are not represented there, or because they benefit from the ongoing conflict than they would benefit from the peace happening. For instance, in the case of Afghanistan, as you know, like Pakistan, if we give an example, there's now proofs that Pakistan gave shelter to Al-Qaeda. That in Pakistan, there are madrasas that are active at the moment, right now as we speak, that are training young boys to become suicide bombers. Where every time there are attacks that happens in Afghanistan, these attackers have IDs issued by the Pakistani government. Pakistan has been given millions of dollars, billions in aid, claiming that they are fighting against terrorism, whereas they may do here and there something, but then they also use a big part of that money to keep the conflict going because they benefit from it. We depend on everything in Pakistan. And the same way it goes with Iran, and obviously the US, because Afghanistan having this really important geopolitical location, on one side being Iran, on the other side being Russia, it's the US wants to have some presence in Afghanistan because they just for in case. And with India and Pakistan, they have their own history of conflict. So there are times, when Pakistan is coming closer or becoming more friendly with Afghanistan, India tries to distance itself or do something against it, or the same thing, vice versa. When India tries to help Afghanistan in a way, Pakistan comes and attacks and sends rockets on our side of the border. So these are lists of some countries that have acted as spoilers. The interest. So the Afghan government's interest in the peace process is recognition of the Afghan government, obviously, and the Afghan constitution, because that's the one thing that the Taliban don't accept. Neither recognize the Afghan government as the solemn Afghan official government, nor do they accept our constitution. Disarmament of armed groups, including the Taliban, and stopping killing of civilians, and cutting ties with groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Now, the Taliban, their interests are the withdrawal of all foreign troops, including US and NATO, from Afghanistan, which would at the moment would be a disaster because Afghanistan doesn't have resources, forces, or any allies on the ground to help them fight the terrorists or the Taliban. So, like I said, since 2014, when the international troops have started leaving, that has meant for the Taliban to succeed in getting more stronger on the ground. They want an Islamic state or a government system that's Islamic, which, if that's what we're supposed to have, then it would mean for us, for the women, to sacrifice everything they have achieved for the past 18 years, which would be disastrous as well. Now, if you have been following the news, recently in March, the US government envoy Zalmay Khalilzad signed an agreement with the Taliban without the presence of Afghan government. Now, that's very significant. This peace process is about Afghan government. The Afghan government wasn't present at the table when this was signed. So, and the big part of the agreement is withdrawal of foreign troops, which Khalilzad has agreed. Assurance by the Taliban that Afghanistan will not be used as a base to launch terror attacks, which they have already proven that this was not followed, and the beginning of an intra-Afghan dialogue during the second week of March that was supposed to happen, which did not happen. And Zalmay Khalilzad also agreed that the Afghan government would release 5,000 Taliban prisoners, to which Ashraf Ghani first disagreed and refused to do so. But again, when you look at the politics and Afghanistan's position, they can't survive without the U.S. So Pompeo had to call, and Ashraf Ghani had no choice but to accept to accept, and he's started releasing Taliban prisoners. I think he has already released 2,500. And since the release of these prisoners, we've had some very significant attacks in Afghanistan on civilians, even on the US troops. So we can already see that this is not, the agreement is not being followed or respected by the Taliban. All of this is happening while, you know, we have a government and an administration that lacks a good leadership. As you know, both on the last election and this election, Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah Abdullah were rivals, and in both of the elections, the losing team did not accept the results. So last time, John Kerry had to come to Afghanistan and create a unity government where it gave Abdullah Abdullah some power as the unity government partner. And this time, after months of negotiations, he came to accept to be the president and the head of the Peace Council. Now he, as a head of the Peace Council, since they have started preparing for the agreements, Russia held a preliminary meeting where a number of the warlords and activists and the members of the Taliban were present, but there weren't any women who were there to raise their voice. Based on the peace processes that has happened in the past, women's inclusion is very significant and very important, as it shows that when women are included in the peace processes, there's a 20% chance of increasing in the probability of an agreement that would last for 2 years, and 35% increase in the probability that it would last for 15 years. How much of that has been implemented in the Afghan case? So during Karzai administration, the Peace Council had members that were female, but again, they were quite symbolic. And in the Ashraf Ghani Peace Council, also 13% of the Peace Council were women, but they're there. And you know, when you talk to them, they say when there are preliminary talks, when there are meetings that happens before, for example, a trip to a country, they say, oh, you know, when the sign, like something like a signing ceremony happens, then we will let you know and you can come and be there and you know, show up for the photos. But you know, when the most important levels of the talk is happening, where women can come and talk about their accomplishments for the past 18 years and what it has meant for them and how it's important it is to continue that, women haven't been present. As you can see, they're either very small number who were there, or they were none. So when Ashraf Ghani, every time when he has been questioned about, you know, why there aren't women, you know, after the US signed its agreement, there was a meeting that Khalilzad had with the Afghan President Ghani, and another meeting with Abdullah Abdullah, head of the Peace Council. There were no women present, and every time when Ashraf Ghani is being pushed and asked why are there not women, he says women will be included when the right time comes, and we don't know when that right time is for Afghan women. However, women have been making, you know, informal coming together via informal meetings, signing petitions, you know, putting more pressure, doing workshops on capacity building of women through mass demonstrations and direct negotiations with groups to raise their voice and to say, you know, we want to be part of this process. Of course, there are barriers. You know, security is a huge barrier. Tradition is a big barrier in Afghanistan, especially if you live in rural areas where you're not able to get an education, where you live surrounded by people who are super conservative, and you're not allowed to travel to Kabul for workshops or to travel outside the country where peace process meetings are happening. So those all play as barriers for women who may want to be part of this process but aren't, because they have no control of it. And in my paper, a part of the recommendations that I wrote were to utilizing coalitions that have already been formed with the, through international pressure, getting, the US or the European Union to put more pressure on the Afghan government to allow women to be bigger part of this and to contribute in a significant manner, creating conditions for women's voices to be heard, and the High Peace Council coordinating with women's groups on the ground so that they know what women who really have lived through the wars, through, they know what experience of being a woman and living as a woman in Afghan life is, to hear their voices, to write those down and to take those when these peace processes are happening, and ensuring that women's participation is recorded, which is very, very, very important, so that they can be there representing their own groups at the table and the peace process. So sorry, tried to put all of that information in the limited time that I had, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
That was outstanding. Thank you so very much. Wow, what a story. You've come a long way. And
thank you.
It's beautiful what you've done. We're going to have time for about 5 questions, and then we'll shake you loose and you can take on other tasks beyond this. So thank you so very much. And I do recommend to everybody that they do go onto your site and see your driving lesson. It was well worth watching. Yes, Bill.
I noticed that you have a pin on your coat, and Jim Morris here, and so that's the malaria pin.
Yes, this is my malaria pin.
Yeah, can you mention just quickly your participation with the Rotary Malaria? It'd be great.
Yeah.
So how do you participate with that?
Well, I went to the Rotary. What was it? The gathering. It was in Utah with Jim, and that's where I got it. So I received their emails and I've subscribed to it, but I haven't been directly involved. I'd love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that plug, Bill.
So I have one other quick question.
Sure.
Is the production of opium in the country still its greatest crop, or has that changed?
It had changed significantly. I think it depends. So like my dad was working with counter narcotics, Ministry of Counter Narcotics, and he was working in Mazar Sharif in the north where we live, and they made the cultivation of narcotics zero. And therefore my dad actually lost his job because they were like, okay, there's nothing else for you to do because, it's now zero. But when you look at the south and east part of Afghanistan, where the government doesn't have as much control, and then they're still cultivating, and they have presence of narcotics there. Sorry, you're still muted.
Please unmute yourself, Victoria.
There. What courage you have. I so admire you and thank you for this incredible presentation. I'm curious about the photograph that you first started with. I remember seeing that many years ago, either on the cover of Time magazine or Newsweek or maybe National Geographic. What a haunting picture. So is that why you used that?
Yes, I mean I think that tells the story of a lot of Afghan women, and in a lot of places, when you show that picture, they know you're talking about Afghanistan. Right. So that's why I thought that.
Well, it's just, and I admire you, and keep up the courage. And the good work. I just think that must be so difficult being a woman and not being able to go to school, and all of that. So, bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Mike Malahan.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think a lot of the issues in Afghanistan will be solved when you have a woman president. And
I agree.
I think you got to consider moving in that direction.
That's my long-term plan.
Yes, Jim Moore, please unmute yourself.
Okay, hang on a second.
You're good, you're good.
Okay,
No.
thanks. Yeah, my question was, Rox, could you update us on the COVID-19 situation in Afghanistan?
Oh, COVID-19, I mean, we weren't ready, and although there's been a lot of aid that's come to Afghanistan, unfortunately it hasn't been used in the best way. The official numbers are about 38,000 people, but I really honestly believe that the whole country is going through COVID-19 at the moment. I lost 3 uncles. So those who died. Those who were younger could go through it, could recovered. But I don't know anybody who hasn't gone through it in Afghanistan from my own personal friends and list. So unfortunately, they didn't deal well with it. We've had ventilators that were stolen and taken to Pakistan. You hear, we've lost a lot of doctors. They don't have any protection. My own brother works as a doctor, so my sister-in-law went out and bought this thick fabric and sewed him a suit that he wears one in the house, and then he changes that in the car, and when he enters the hospital, he wears a different one. It hasn't been very well.
So we have one more question, and then we'll have to move on for the remainder of our meeting. Who's got their hand up? Anybody? Yes, Jeff Brennan.
So what I wanted to make sure you were aware of was the fact that Arosh graduated from Tufts via basically a global grant that was given by our district.
That's
and so it was really, really terrific. I commend her for what she did. She was one of 3 global grant recipients from our district, and that's, that's evidence of what your donations to the Rotary Foundation do. So great.
Thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up. I had read that, and I didn't add it to my story, which was more involved with how she drives. So sorry about that. So again, thank you so very much. I wish you much success and happiness.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me, and I sent the link to my film in the chat, so you guys can watch it when you're done with the meeting. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, Bill, we're going to move on to any announcements that we have. If we can get the first person that raised her hand, of course, Maria. So I'm going to call on Maria. She has an announcement.
I have an announcement. So we are now seriously looking at having our first live social on August 22nd at Scott's Place in Mill Creek at 4 o'clock. I was there yesterday. I've been told about this place. It's rather remarkable, and I know that several of us have already seen it. We hadn't. He's got a beautiful back area to his business and shop. Well manicured lawn, lots of places to put tables, even be able to stay 6 feet apart, and tables 10 feet apart, better than restaurants, as long as the weather holds up for us. The idea for me was to have a food truck there so that everybody could be served and nobody had to do anything. But Scott, you see, has this smoker that he's really super excited about that he pulls behind his truck. And then there was the Dave Frank Minks kind of little thing there about wanting to create the protein for the event. And and so then it's again my task to figure out how I'm going to get the side dishes there without having everybody's hands in it. And I think I might have solved that problem too. So my main question out there to everyone is, how many would be in for doing a live social at 4 o'clock on the 22nd, which is, I believe, a Friday or Saturday, I think, of
Saturday.
August. Saturday, yes. That's God's Place at 4. Dave, can you see everybody that's raising their hands?
I can see everybody other than Darby, but I mean, we've got 6 or 7, maybe 8 that are all in. Unless you want to keep them up there, and I'll do a quick count. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, and I'm seeing a whole bunch
6,
that
7,
are
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 to 15.
okay, and of course that would include a +1.
I included
if we
you.
wanted it, if we wanted it to. So I don't see any reason why we should not move forward with this. We sometimes don't have any more than that with +1s, and see about getting it going.
Sounds good.
That's what I got.
Very, very good, Maria. Appreciate the update and forward to it. Okay, any other announcements? Victoria?
Yes, can you hear me? Oh, yes, you
Yes.
can. Okay, well, received an email or a message from Danny about going live with the Ask website, and I'd like her to talk about that. But before she does, there was one question I have, and if this would at all be possible, Danny, would there be a way it could just start with the video and then go to the link instead of having all the verbiage? I don't know, because sometimes that makes more, I don't know. And also I want to thank you for the letter you sent, which looks good. And it's that we can send that to people like my brother who are computer illiterate. And so we'll get a donation from him, and also people who want to write checks. So I'm going to turn it over to Danny because she did a work on this. So.
Okay, so everyone should have gotten the link to the donation site. I made a couple edits after I changed it, so thank you to everybody that sent me my few typos that I had. And I removed the verbiage on the donation portion of the site so that the ability to make a donation is the first thing you see when you click on the donation tab, and left the verbiage on the home tab for people that want to know more about what is going on with Rotary, what we've done in the past, and what we need to do in the future. What I did with the verbiage that I had on the donation site is I put it into like a PDF letter that we can send out to our friends and family. I left our goal at $100,000. That's a very, very ambitious goal for our online fundraising. However, I want everybody to realize that if every member was able to solicit up to $2,000 in donations from their friends and family, or on average $2,000, we would hit that goal no problem. So it's not insurmountable, but definitely I want everyone to start sharing. I will be sending out both the letter that you can send via email that includes our mailing address for people that want to make donations directly and not on the computer, as well as a link to the video so that you can share it on your social media as well. This was shared on our Facebook and Instagram profile, so you can go onto those and share directly to your personal pages as well. Yes, Dave.
I'd like to add something to that. You know, the goal shows 100,000. That's our goal. We could do so many more things. But the net that we need, because we've got if we should do next year in-person auction, we're going to have to come up with pretty much the complete dose. We got to put that in our budget. We probably need 50 grand. We hit 50 grand, we're in great shape. So thank you for putting that up as 100. I think it is a lofty goal. If we don't hit it, but we hit 50, we accomplished what we really bottom line needed to accomplish.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Yes, Victoria.
Well, so Danny, would there, or would it be too hard to do to do another one with just the video and then the link? Because I think the video is pretty dramatic.
So we have that already on Facebook. So I did.
Oh, it's on
I
Facebook.
linked the video to our Facebook page and included a link to our donation page as well through that. So, but I don't think doing another separate page with the video would do much.
Okay. Then
Yes, Bill McElroy.
get to that.
Victoria's done, when Victoria's done.
I just want to make sure, okay, so we can go to the Facebook page and then link that to our own people. You know, I'm really not really good with Facebook, so I need help. So I
Yeah,
won't.
so if you
now,
go to our public facing Facebook page, which is the one that just has the rotary wheel as the icon, then on there you should be able to see that we linked the video and the post, and you can just click the button that says share, and then you can either share it directly to your friends on Facebook, or you can share it to your page so everyone would see it.
I think.
Great. Yes, Bill.
I think, and Danny's correct, and Vicky's correct here. I think what I'd like to do is I think, Danny, you sent out an email that goes out to the website, and it says, I'll send out an email kind of like that goes to the YouTube video. And it's the links which are the key. So you have the link that goes to the website, the link that goes to YouTube. And so I think having those samples, then you can forward them on, Vicky, to the people, and you can do either or. You can use a combination or whatever. But it's the sharing of the links that you can do, and what's best for your friends is really up to you. But you'll have both available to you to use, and we'll. I think that makes sense. So.
Yeah, and my hope is to solicit Jeff Brennan to figure out how to send out an email to our past donors from our auction tracker software from our past couple years of auctions. But I'll work with him offline on that.
Great, thank you. Yes, Mary Kay.
I might have the list.
The other thing I thought was be able to use that is I'll also be sending it to the list of over 250 people who have contributed to the food drive because they are the most familiar with what it is we've been doing. So I've got that email list from everybody who's donated, and I'll be sending it to all of them.
Good idea. Good idea. Anybody else? No other announcements? Well, I've got a couple. And one is I wanted to give the results on the increasing of our dues. That has passed. So we will be increasing dues to everybody for $25. With the exception of Mike Malahan, yours is $50. I'm kidding. Also, I wanted to touch base with everybody about our committee survey that we sent out. It's kind of a little disappointing when you get 10 responses. Now, I'm not including the people that are already on committees, but I'm talking beyond that. So we're hoping to send something out again that will get to those that maybe aren't getting our emails or just aren't, I mean, we don't know where they are, but to have a total of 20 out of a club of, well, we show it as 48, it's probably 47. But anyway, that's when you're not even 50%, we've got a systemic situation that we need to find out what's going on. So I did reach out to Annan, spoke to him this morning at length. He's at a new bank in a new city. He's wants to be in the club. It's just very tough with him with all of this PPP money and everything. He's very busy. But there may be more people like that. So we'll do a little bit more work on our end to make sure we got all the corrected contact information for folks, because we need to make sure we have it so we know we're getting to them. So that's just a little update on our committee survey. And if that doesn't work, then we're going to have a draft. There'll be alcohol involved, and we'll do an online draft, and we'll get people on board. And I see Rick is happy. He's ready to, Rick Farrell's already thumbs up, right, Rick? We'll have a draft, and we'll put everybody on something. So again, that's all I had. Yes, Victoria.
Don't forget the cocktail party tomorrow.
Yes. And that, we've been averaging around 12, 13 in that range. I won't be able to make it. I'm actually going to get, I'm going to play a little golf tomorrow with Shannon. Find out why he's not been on our meetings. I'm going to really squeeze him there on that one. Anything else? Okay, well, great. I think it's time for, yes, Mary Katie? Oh, Darby, you're on. Unmute yourself. Wow, great to see you. There you
Hi.
Hi.
Darby.
Did you want to say something, Darby?
Nope, it's nice to be back. I didn't realize that I was having a problem with the Zoom link and I had to uninstall it and reinstall it because I'm technologically unadvanced. So I thought there was a problem with the link. So today the girls at the bank helped me uninstall, reinstall, and I'm back.
Well, it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
Smile. Okay, well, let's get to Happy Bucks. If I could get a raise of hands. Yes, Maria?
I have some Happy Bucks besides our Rotary stuff going on. Tuesday, Steve is having heart surgery. He's having a valve replaced. And so I just like you all to keep us in your thoughts. And I know it's going to go perfectly. Just need everybody to keep us with you.
He'll be in our prayers for sure. Okay, who else we got? Okay, Frank, you're on.
All right. I got $3. One for our speaker. She did an amazing job, and with all the stuff we got going on, it's nice to hear of real plights and real stuff going on. So, anyways, she was a pleasure, and happy about the Rotary connection as well. So that's kind of neat. $1 for our fundraising committee, and $1 for our club. So that's it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Yes, Rick.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our speaker today. You kind of wonder what's going on in other parts of the world, and it's kind of nice to hear from the people that are involved in the rights movement and things over there. And going to be celebrating my youngest grandson's first birthday this afternoon. So that ought to be fun.
That's terrific. Congrats on that one. Yes, Mary Kay.
I wasn't ready. Okay, I'll throw in $10 this time for a number of different things. But the most important is that my husband's birthday is next week, and he is turning the. I have to say it quietly so he doesn't hear me. And for his birthday, we are going to do a Kenmore Air flight around Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier, and taking the granddaughter, who is a budding volcanologist and wants to go see the volcanoes from above because she goes to volcano camp every year except this year. So, we had to come up with something special since we can't have a party with more than 3 people. So that's our big thing. And thank you for an amazing speaker. It makes all of us women realize how very fortunate we are to be in this country and have the rights and abilities that we do in our educations. And just for a club that's coming together and doing lots of good things. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Mary Kay. All right. Well, Dave Bondo, I'll get to you, Darby. I'm sorry. Yes, Bonds.
I have $5 because I'm very happy. My 2 sons, each of them have been looking for a house to buy, and of course it's challenging. They have, they're not made of money, and their old man's a little too cheap to just buy them a house. But at any rate, they found a house in Skyway. It's sort of an area between South Seattle and Renton. And there's actually 2 houses on the property for about $800,000. And they decided that they were going to go together to buy this place, the 2 of them as partners. And you know how brothers fight like hell when they're younger, and it's been my prayer forever that they would somehow or another wind up to be, friends, and and care and love and take care of each other. And I'm just so happy that they're doing this together. So I got $5 for that.
Yes, Darby, you're on.
I've got $5 for some missed meetings, and I've got $5 because I got my son into a Minecraft camp for a week, and it was one of 5. So I was really excited because of the social distancing. So.
Congratulations. Yes, Victoria.
Okay, I have $10, 5 for our speaker. I think we all need to remember that it isn't good for women in many, many parts of the world, and I am grateful that I get to live in this country. The other 5, I thought it's all about boys. So my youngest son is here from Sun Valley, and when I picked him up at the airport, took him to my oldest son's home in Mukilteo, and the look on their 2 faces, well, Dave Bondo, I understand, they used to fight like crazy, and those 2 are best friends. They love each other, and boy, does that ever warm a mother's heart.
Yeah, no kidding.
No kidding.
Yes, Dave Gunter. You're not, unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself, please.
Hear me now?
Yes.
$5 for a great club and all the work we do.
Malahan, thank you, Dave.
First of all, I'm going to give $10. First of all, I'm going to give $1 to Dave Bondo to help him contribute towards his son's purchase of a new house. The other part is to our great new president and his leadership and helping the club move forward and keeping us on this path forward. So really appreciate that. And obviously deeply appreciate the speaker today. And I really do think that women can change the world, and they need to start moving quicker than they are. So that's my $10.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Well,
Thank you, Mike.
I've got a few bucks. I thought the speaker was wonderful. She is a very pleasant, committed woman. And we need more young ladies like that. Just terrific story. And then a couple bucks to the club for all the help I've been getting and support I've been getting. And I'm blessed to have you behind me. So thank you. And along with me. Yes, Maria.
Well, there was $5 on Stephen. I forgot to say that, but little interjection on the women thing. Our daughter goes and speaks to schools, middle schools, and sometimes high schools. And she's introduced as Chris Kumasaka. Her name is Christy, but she gets introduced as, or she gets billed as Chris Kumasaka before she walks in. So they don't know if she's a girl or a guy. And when she walks in as a rocket scientist, there was kind of like these faces going like, you're a girl. So I want to know when that's going to stop happening. And they say to her, well, what made you ever think you could be a rocket scientist? You're a girl. Sorry. Right.
Well, I guess it's time for, yes, for Sid. It's time for
Sorry for being late. I'm trying to keep track of all these numbers. I want to give 10, 5 for, yeah, our great speaker, well recruited. Thank you very much. Just an amazing story, touching as well as just out of compassion for what a woman in Afghanistan has had to live through in the last 20, 30 years. Just can't imagine it. And $5 for the great work this club is doing. Just so happy to be a part of it.
Well, I think it's now time. Did you want to say something else, Fonz, or are you just giving a thumbs up?
Oh, I'm giving Sid the old thumbs up. What would be helpful, I think, is do we have a new link for where we can send this dough? Is it Venmo or PayPal? I think you said so last week, Sid, and I apologize.
I'll tell you what.
Reiterate that.
Yeah, I will send out balance dues that I have recorded, as well as all the various payment options to everyone who has a due, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay.
Thanks for the reminder.
All right, thanks.
Well, thank you, everybody. We're going to go to the four-way test. Bill, would you mind bringing that up?
Right, good idea.
Is it the truth?
Is it
fair to
all
all
Fair
concerned?
to all concerned.
Will it build goodwill
Will it
and
build
better
goodwill and
friendships?
better friendships?
Will it be
Will
beneficial
it be
to
beneficial to
all
all
concerned? And with that, the meeting is over. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, bye.
Bye,
See you-
guys. See you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night. That's right, we forgot that one.
Good. See y'all tomorrow.
Okay.
So
Tomorrow night social, 5:30.
Could you guys see the screen or not? Go.
Can now.
I know. Could you see the four-way test screen?
Yes, it was a little late getting up.
No.
Danny, come to the social. We moved it to 5:30 for you.
Thank you. I put it on my calendar. I got into something last week, or last time, so I forgot.
Well, good. I hope it was good.